right, so let's finish up this section on our quadratic equations. So in this example 3, we've got two parts. Both of them are going to use the quadratic formula that I've given you right there in the middle. And now is the time that I feel like we're ready to talk about the inequality there in the middle. So what this is saying is we only care about the years because X is years. X are the number of years since 2010. So these are our years. So we only care about the years between 6 and 15. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. We don't care about the year 16. We don't care about the year 2. Only the numbers between 6 and 15. And this is important because if you remember back in our other answer, on the example 2, we might get more than one answer. We can have 0, 1, or 2 answers. And this is going to tell us which answers we want to choose. We're only going to want to choose the answers between 6 and 15 when we get down and to solve for X. So that's what that inequality that I told you I was going to get to explaining. Here's the day when we explain what that means. All right, so let's look at this problem. Example 3, actually, the 3A is a throwback question to when we were just trying to plug in numbers for X. Remember, X are the years. And so the annual pay in 2020, that's a year. So that means it's X. We're not going to plug in 2020 though. My directions said we started with 2010. So that means I'm going to plug in 10. So I'm going to plug in 10 everywhere I see X. Oops, the one didn't write there. And I'm going to type that in my calculator. So I'm going to type that in my calculator. And it's going to come out to 42.4. And I believe our units are in thousands of dollars. So I've got my answer there for A. So a little bit of a review. Now B is going to be the new thing we're practicing in this section. This for B is asking us to find the year. So find the year means we're going to be solving for X. Our answer is going to be X equals. So we're going to find the year that the annual pay is $49. So remember that first step I said was the trickiest. We have to set the equation equal to 49. Here's the time to pause and see if you can solve this equation using that quadratic formula that we just went over in the previous video. So go ahead and hit pause. Hopefully you paused and then we're ready to come back. Remember the step that I said, that's the one that everyone forgets, is before we can start plugging in for A, B, and C, we have to set our equation equal to 0. That means we need to move over that negative 49. So now A is going to be the number in front of X squared, B is going to be the number in front of X, it's negative, and C is going to be the plain number. So I'm going to plug that into my quadratic equation. Negative B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. All right, simplifying that down, I'm going to end up with a positive 7.21 plus or minus. Typing in that whole square root, I end up with 10.1425 divided by 0.758. Now remember, I've got two of those answers. I've got the plus one. Oops, forgot the one. And I've got the subtracting one, the minus. So I'm going to type both of those in my calculator. The one that's a positive, that first one, is going to give me X equals 13, and it's got some decimals. Typing in the subtracting one, I get X equals 5.31 and some other decimals. And this is where what I went over earlier becomes important. We want the answer that's in between 6 and 15. So the only one that's in between 6 and 15 is the 13. This other one is less than 6. So I don't want that. So remember, we're not going to round our years. So we're going to do 13. So, and I was starting up in 2010 per my direction. So 2010 plus 13 is going to be equal to 2023 as my final answer. I do want to make a note here. When we pull questions for my math lab, sometimes we have to pull from different textbooks and they might have slightly different wording. So I'd just like to point out here that if my math lab asks for the first full calendar year, and I'll write that up down here. So if my math lab says the first full calendar year, that means that you are going to round to the next year. Because it needs to happen that entire calendar year. So just be careful on that. It doesn't happen all the time. Almost all the time we're going to do the regular truncating where we don't round. But if it says first full calendar year, you need to go up to the next year. And just to give you a little bit of reason why, this happens in 13.71. So, you know, that's in like the fall of the year. Let's just say September of that year. So that wouldn't have been the full year. It wasn't going on in January, February, March, and April. So it would be the first full calendar year would include all those months. So we would go up to the next year. It's not even really rounding. It's just going up 1 year. So we get that full calendar year. If you have any questions about those in the rounding, feel free to email me and use that Ask the Instructor button in my math lab.